Hey guys, welcome back to In Conversation with Zoe with me. I'm Zoe Chinaka and I'd like to take this time to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Today's conversation is about everyday alternatives that we can use for our everyday conversations. Number one, we can alternate lots for loads. Let's say you want to make this reference, right? You've got lots of money in your pocket, I can see that. You can just swap it and say, you've got loads of money, haven't you? It gives you variables, it gives you options, and it makes you sound more intelligent, and it makes you sound more in control of your grammar, all right? Number two, swap disappear or reduce for dissipate. I went for a language class last week thanks to the School of Public Speaking London. Shout out to them. And one of the lessons we were taught to, whilst we're being taught one of the lessons, I just realized that my tutor was using a lot of dissipate instead of disappear or reduce. And I could see where he was going with that. He would say, for you to dissipate the fear that you feel when speaking to a large crowd of people or a large number of people, you see that? So he used dissipate for reduce in that sentence. He also used it to refer to disappear, for you to make disappear, to make go away, to make less of, to reduce. It's just like to cause something to recede. You can swap that for dissipate, and it just sounds very nice when you say, I wish I can just make this pain dissipate. Oh my God. It sounds very intelligent and smart. All right, so if you want to sound intelligent and smart, you have to learn to alternate your words. The third word for today is algorithm. Algorithm is a techie word that came in about 5 years ago into the mainstream, and everyone started using it. And at first I thought it is a serious word, but I mean, there's always a B and a C part for a use of a term or use of a word, right? So in today's world, we can use algorithm for a precise set of steps or rules. I just, did a report recently on my blog, which you should check out. Go on to www.shenigeria.blog, all right? Subscribe as well, follow me, turn on notifications, and you will get more of my articles and some of my friends' articles that I collate there. Okay, so in this report, I was asked, my tutor asked me to to show the set of algorithms, or to show the algorithm that I used in reaching my conclusion. And when I researched algorithm, not the techie part, the B and the C part, you can use it in your everyday conversation, because what it means in a literal term is a set of rules, a set of steps that you use to arrive at something. So it's like a manual. It's like, what's the rule of the game? What's the algorithm to make this work? What's the steps? That's what it is. So I can ask you this question. Can I know the algorithm you used in putting this together? That's what it is. So you can play with it in your everyday conversation. Another word that I think we can alternate or use is narrative. Narrative also came into the mainstream about 7 to 10 years ago. I mean, like public use and domain, where everyone wanted to use it. Everyone was like, ooh, narrative. What is narrative? Well, narrative is really simple. It means the underlying story, right? The takeout. I'm diluting it so you can understand. But what narrative is this? What's the story? What's the lesson? Where's he headed? You know? You see where I'm going? So I remember when my colleague then, when we were doing the breakfast show on Good Morning Nigeria, she would use this a lot, and she would like, and President Donald Trump is trying to change the narrative. And I would be like, girl, you're overusing that. But I also started overusing it because I caught wind of it and I felt relaxed with using it, because I just felt it was a literary term that was left for, you know, storytellers. I mean, I'm a storyteller, right? News is storytelling. This is storytelling. So I got on board using narrative, and I think you should, you know, put it somewhere in your everyday conversation. You can, let's say, for example, I believe the narrative of Boris Johnson winning the election will be something that unfolds daily or at the end of Brexit, when Brexit comes to be. I've used it in a different way, but what I'm trying to say is it's like the essence, it's like the untold story, it's like the final bus stop here. It's like the lesson, the reason why he won. Do you understand? And then if I said, please stop changing the narrative, I've used it in a different way, but it kind of also means stop changing the angle. That's another way to use narrative. I don't like the way she changes the narrative when she's talking to me. You know, you can use it in different ways. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? So play up with narrative when next you're having a conversation, whether in public, a formal one, or an informal one. One that I also heard, I picked, not like I didn't know it, but it's not a constant feature in my everyday conversation, is glibber. When we're doing our one-on-ones for our public 2 minutes presentation on any subject matter, I realized that I was glibbering. You know, I started to glibber. And this is another way to say I started to blab. I started to make no sense with my words. That's what glibber is in that context. Now, remember, I always say that communication is not necessarily about the meaning of a word. It is about how the word is being used, the sentence in which it's being used, the context, and the manner it is being expressed. Those are the three key pillars for me for communication. If I am when I have delivered speeches and lectures on communication, public speaking, it's beyond the grammar. It's beyond the big words you use. You know, it's beyond that. It's about how it's used, the context, and the manner in which it is communicated or said. All right, that takes me to the next one, which is context. Context is something we don't use every time, except maybe we're speaking in a formal gathering, but I dare you to use it more often, okay? Because context will take you to make you sound a tinge nicer, cooler, more intelligent, and just smarter, okay? So if you wanted to say, I don't understand what you're trying to say, but if you could put it in a different way, maybe I would. Why not just say, if you could put it in another context, I may understand you then. You've just thrown in a big looking word, but it is not big, because it can mean, context can mean weight, context can mean manner, context can mean style, context can mean type, context can mean situation. Context can be used in a plethora of ways, okay? I have just introduced the next word, which is plethora. So plethora means a lot. It means when there is a lot of something that is high quality. So if you want to say, I've used this a lot when I'm starting off maybe an MCing job, a hosting duty, or I'm just speaking to a class of people, a congregation really. I was taught to start off by saying hello to my audience and paying them a compliment, especially when there are lots of women in the room. You know how we can be very sensitive to that. So when I have done my the woman workshops, I've done about 3. It's back in Nigeria. I'm hoping to carry it on. I remember starting off my speech. It was very prepared and planned, but now I use it on the go. I would start off by saying, I'm amazed to be in your presence. I'm totally thrilled because I know that I'm in the midst of a plethora of amazing minds. It's just like I'm in the midst of a lot, plenty of greatness, plenty of beauty, plenty of intelligence. It's just a lot. It's a lot on top of a lot, but in a beautiful and intelligent way. Yeah, that sentence may not have been correct, but you get what I'm saying, right? Okay. So one of my colleagues used the other day, and that was before Christmas. He kept making it an issue. Ayana, if you're watching, this one's for you. One of my favorite bishops, Bishop T.D. Jakes, he uses this a lot. He says, extrapolate. Turn with me to the book of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 3. This is the scripture from which I will extrapolate the essence of my being here today, or the narrative from which I want to teach today. Ooh, that's some grammar school. Like, he just takes me to school and back. Whenever I watch him, he's not just feeding my spirit, but he's all my faith. He's also feeding my mind, my intelligence, my intellectual capacity, and that's, something we should all look out for. So extrapolate means to imply. Extrapolate means to draw. Extrapolate means to find, to bring out, and thrust. Yes, I've just said a number of things, but extrapolate in simple terms means to draw out in meaning, right? So I've used extrapolate from, Bishop T.D. Jakes' sermons, but let me use extrapolate from a daily conversation. Okay. I do not understand what lecturer Tutu was trying to extrapolate from Innovation 506 the other day. Can you please elaborate? Ooh, Zoe. You have just said you did not understand what he was trying to bring out of the lecture that day, innovation, comme ça. And then you have also added another nice, intelligent sounding word, elaborate. So you see how you can use it in your everyday conversation? Good for you. Another word is, you know what? This is something that it can be used in and this is my final word for the day, confusing. Stop using confusing. Try not to use it. Oh, I'm confused. Oh, I think that was confusing. Don't do that. Use, I feel fogged up. Oh, that's a cool word. It's a very intelligent word. And it's cool at the same time. Fogged up means, there's a fog in your brain or whatever. That's the state of mind. You feel foggy. I feel foggy. You can use foggy. You can use fogged up, and so on and so forth. There you go. Those are 10 words that you can play around, insert into your daily conversations, and sound more intelligent above your peers. Thank you for watching. I am blessed to have you tune in every time to In Conversation with Zoe. So I'll see you on Twitter, Instagram, and next time. Bye.
Yeah.